Well, you don't want to miss this one. Trump's inauguration speech was a bold, well-rounded statement that left no stone unturned. From addressing the economy to national security, he laid out his vision with the trademark confidence that we've come to expect. But there were a few moments that really got people talking, like his strong stance on putting America first, and the not-so-subtle jabs aimed at his predecessors. Today we're breaking down the different reactions, and you won't believe MSNBC's mental gymnastics in an attempt to negatively spin the speech. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
Bill, great to see you on this day of history. No one knows more about American presidents than you. What did you make of the speech?
The headline would be this. So here you have President Biden sitting right to the side of President Trump. And Trump just trashes Biden's whole administration. It would be like you right now if I just trashed you, but you didn't have a mic. You couldn't say anything. And a two-shot, and there's you. And that wouldn't be hard for me to do, Morgan. You know that. I could do.
You'd relish
I could riff 20 minutes and just cut your throat. And then you'd be there like this.
Trump's speech wasn't just a critique of Biden's policies. It was a scathing reminder of the Obama-era policies that paved the way for the current administration's missteps. Because, let's face it, Biden's presidency was mostly an Obama third term. And it's not just me saying it. In a 2021 interview with the New York Times, Obama famously said, quote, "I think that what we're seeing now is Joe and the administration are essentially finishing the job. And I think it will be an interesting test," end quote. Even went as far as saying, quote, 90% of the folks who were in my administration, they are continuing and building on the policies we talked about. Whether it's the Affordable Care Act or our climate change agenda and the Paris climate deal. This goes to show that the past decisions at such high levels of government can have long-term consequences. Bill also noticed one thing that flew under the radar for many, and I think he makes a valid point.
To me, that was an extraordinary moment in history.
Yes.
Because most presidents in their inaugural address, they don't go in for the kill. Trump is the exception. He went in and he laid it out. He said, didn't use the word disaster, but every paragraph was, these people screwed up, these people hosed you, these people are weak, these people are corrupt, and these people are 5 feet away. That was an extraordinary bit of American history.
The only resemblance I can think of to Trump's inauguration speech is Ronald Reagan's first one back in 1981. Reagan took down incumbent Jimmy Carter, and Carter, as gracious as he was, still showed up to Reagan's swearing in. And if you think about it, Reagan's speech that day was a slap in the face to Carter. He said, quote, "The economic ills we suffer have come upon us over several decades. They will not go away in days, weeks, or months, but they will go away." Just imagine Carter sitting there listening to this outsider who beat him a couple of months ago, tearing apart through his policies. But I think it's fair to say that Trump's address stands out for a completely different reason. Unlike Reagan, who was only having to deal with one former opponent, Trump had two past candidates he beat sitting up behind him, in addition of two former presidents who he constantly criticizes. That's the level of slam dunk this was, so let's hear some of the shots he took against them.
Years a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
All of this was said with Clinton, Obama, Biden, and Kamala sitting just a few feet away from him, as O'Reilly pointed out. Trump didn't hold back, and why should he? These people represent the same party that did everything in its power to sabotage his first term, and after it tried to push him out of the political scene through endless lawsuits and propaganda campaigns. By the way, I've noticed you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? Now, I think it's fair to say that this wasn't just a speech, it was a declaration that Trump is more determined than ever to follow through on the promises that he made during campaign. And with a strong mandate coupled with a team that knows how the DC game is played, He's already making moves to start fulfilling those promises, but folks at MSNBC had a different opinion on the inaugural address. So let's start with the amazing Jen Psaki.
It is typically a president of either party discussing where the country is now and where it needs to go moving forward. It doesn't mean you're not discussing challenges. That's a part of it. You're discussing opportunities. But what struck me about this address was it was not just politicized. It was very personal. And there were a couple of things that I highlighted for myself. I mean, wherein he said, I've been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. I think we would all disagree with that characterization, with this worth discussing. I was saved by God to make America great again. Never again will immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents, something I know something about. Typically, a president is not discussing themselves, even though they won. The country elected them. They are discussing the country they are about to govern.
It's almost like Jen tuned into a completely different speech than the rest of us. Did she have her earbuds in listening to a podcast about avocado toast or something? Because somehow she completely missed the part where Trump laid out his plan and some of them with the actual details. It's hard to imagine how someone could sit through that and not pick up on the big takeaways. He wasn't just talking about himself like Jen would like you to believe. In fact, he was laying the groundwork for what he intends to do. Border security? Check. Economic revival? Check. Draining the swamp? Double check. This is 2025 and fake news like that just doesn't fly anymore. But nothing comes close to the only thing Mark Cuban took away from the speech, and it's honestly mind-blowing.
It is remarkable that he said in his inaugural address, as part of what appeared to be his prepared remarks, that I was saved by God. Not talking about personal redemption in terms of his religious experience as a private individual, but rather saying that God saved him in order to make him president again. And you heard the whoops of response in the room, which gives a sort of imperative to claim that God sent you, is something that we don't expect in political life. We expect it in other parts of life, maybe, but it's going to give an unusual imperative to some of the most extreme things that he wants to do if past campaign promises and the like are anything to go by, Chris.
Hear that? Heaven forbid anyone openly express their faith these days. Oh my goodness. Especially after being inches away from death. It's as though openly acknowledging faith is treated like an outdated relic rather than being a source of hope, strength, and perseverance, no matter what that faith is. But that's the far left for you. They've turned even the most human moments into opportunities for critique, and the irony is that they're constantly preaching about tolerance, yet openly acknowledging faith seems to be a line that they can't tolerate anyone crossing. I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get a conversation rolling in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to stay in the loop, please share the video with them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.